The mansion was enormous, almost eerily empty, walls of white marble, soaring ceilings, and rare paintings in gilded frames that felt cold and lifeless. Alexander Romanov sat in his office overlooking the city, his gaze sharp and unyielding. He held a folder full of contracts. But what annoyed him most was the thought that someone in his house was out of place. The housekeeper, who had served him for years, was on the verge of being fired. "I told you to leave." His voice was cold, devoid of any trace of doubt. Lyudmila stood in the doorway, clutching a cleaning cloth. Her face was calm, but her eyes sparkled with quiet determination. She knew this was more than a job. Behind these walls lay a secret that could cost billions. "I can't just leave, sir. Today we have investors visiting. You know the meeting will fail without proper preparation." Her voice was soft, yet firm. Alexander smirked. He thought he could ignore the warning and simply get rid of her. To him, she was just another employee. But Lyudmila knew more than anyone. Every document, every number, every flaw in the system that the billionaire himself overlooked. When the investors arrived, they were surprised to be greeted not by a secretary, but by Lyudmila, the very woman Alexander had wanted gone. She immediately sensed the tension in the room and confidently led the negotiations. "With your permission, sir," she began, pointing to graphs and spreadsheets she had personally prepared. The investors were stunned. Numbers that had seemed dry and complicated suddenly made sense, and the deal that had teetered on the brink of collapse now began to solidify. Alexander watched silently, a mix of disbelief and grudging respect forming in his eyes. He realized, perhaps too late, that the person he had underestimated was the very reason his billion-dollar deal was saved. By the time the meeting ended, the investors were shaking hands, smiling and thanking Lyudmila personally. Alexander cleared his throat. "Well, it seems I owe you an apology," he said, though the words felt heavy in his own mouth. Lyudmila simply nodded, her eyes calm but triumphant. She hadn't just saved the deal. She had reminded a billionaire that loyalty and intelligence aren't always found in titles, offices, or power, but sometimes in the quietest corners of a mansion.